Jake the Bull Bagley joins me once again. This time as he gets ready to fight for the Premier FC flyweight belt when he meets Brandon Neiford later on in February on the 29th. Jake, how are you?
I'm good, my man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's always a pleasure. We were just talking before we went live about how wild it is that you're actually outside in January in New England doing this interview right now. This weather is nuts.
Yeah, no, it's very nice. I work outside, so this weather is great for me. We've had an amazing winter and nothing to complain about.
Yeah, hey, knock on wood, it stays that way. We still have
Yeah, exactly.
quite a long time to go before spring is officially here. Now, you're coming off a unanimous decision victory at Cage Titans. I know you're always looking to go out there and get the finish. So, talk to me a little bit about that fight. What are you happy with about your performance, and what did you wish maybe you would have done better?
I wish my wrestling would have come out a little bit better. I let him take me down a couple times, and I hung on to the neck for too long, and it really burned out my cardio and my arms, and I didn't have much for him after that. I mean, luckily he didn't bring too much to the table, so I was able to shut him down and land the majority of the strikes. So I think it worked out in my favor.
What were your coaches telling you in fight adjustments in between rounds? What were some of the things they wanted you to try and implement inside the fight?
Well, I'm a wrestler, as everyone knows, and they wanted me to be going for them takedowns and stop, hanging on his neck and looking for a submission. I should have been the one attacking and pushing the pace, and I just wasn't in that one.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you go to a decision like this, I got to imagine you're always learning about yourself, especially as an amateur. You're always evolving as a fighter. Is there something specifically that you learned about yourself in this particular fight?
Yeah, just that when my cardio is up and I push the pace, the fight comes out a much better way. When I'm more, hesitant and I don't push forward like I know I should, I don't come out and do the best I should. I'm an aggressive fighter, and I should always be pushing the pace.
Well, you're going to get that chance. You got a couple of fights lined up here in the near future. We'll dive into that here shortly. But first, I just want to catch up a little bit with you. It's always great having you on the show. I know you're a hardworking guy. You got a full-time job. You work outside. How has that work training life? How's that balance been for you?
It's all right. It gets pretty tiring in the winter. I get out of work at 4 or 5 o'clock and it's already dark out. So it's real hard to find that motivation to go from there and head to the gym for the rest of the night where you got out and it's still dark. So, it's really just the motivation. I got to keep after it. And, I get 1 or 2 lazy days and then you got to real fight hard on the third day to get up and get going. But, I know my opponent's training. He fights tonight. So I know he's been working his ass off and hasn't been taking breaks. So I got to make sure I keep getting in there.
Yeah. So what happens? What if he gets injured tonight, or something happens where that fight, that championship fight that you have lined up, gets scrapped? Have you been promised? Is there a backup, someone that's waiting in the wings just in case?
I haven't talked to anybody about a backup for the premiere. I'm sure they could find one and step in, but if something like that actually happened, I would just cancel the fight altogether and focus on Cage Titans in April.
Okay, yeah, well, that makes sense. Now you're at Bill Jones's house right now, correct?
Yeah, right at the bottom of the hill. He should pull in anytime.
Okay, how's he doing? What's new with him?
Nothing. A lot of shingling, a lot of roofing and working. He's got kids graduating school and all this big stuff coming up, so he's been a real busy guy.
Very cool. Now, the fight that your opponent has tonight, is there any chance that you and Bill are going to be making the trip to go watch in person, or will it be streamed? You be able to watch online? What's the deal with that?
I know Flow Combat streams all their fights. We won't be making the trip tonight. We both worked this morning and we worked yesterday. We just got other stuff going on. I'd like to see that fight because Joe Poirier is going to be a great opponent, and I think he's the #1 contender for the aftermath of me and David Durao.
And that's another great fight that I'm really looking forward to. I like David, the Spider Monkey, quite a bit. That's going to be a really, really interesting fight stylistically. Now, you obviously train with a bunch of killers. We just mentioned Bill Jones. How do you feel you're evolving as a mixed martial artist? How are you better now from the last time we saw you compete?
I'm a lot more comfortable. I came into that last fight, I was coming off a loss, and I wasn't at the top of my game. I let my ego get ahead of me, and I took that bad loss. And I came into this one, I really just wanted to prove myself. And I didn't feel like I did the best to my ability. But I think I'm going to come out this time, and you're going to see how comfortable and relaxed I really am. And
now that's great to hear.
For sure.
That's great to hear. I'm excited to see you step back in the cage. One thing I wanted to get your take on, Jake. You've been a very outspoken fighter, very popular fighter here in the New England area. And I guess no matter what sport that there's going to be some trash talk. There's going to be some hate. I've seen some of it, not not specifically you. I'm just saying just fighters in general in New England recently, where there's been a lot of chirping back and forth. What's your take on, I guess, the trash talk in the mixed martial arts game, and how do you deal with, I guess, hate that's thrown your way when you're just trying to focus on fights and stay positive?
It all depends on how it's done and how they communicate. I mean, trash talk is fine. It's the fight game. You know what I mean? You want to get people wound up. You want to get them to accept a fight with you. It's when people start bringing it personal or bring other things into it. And you know what I mean? That's not what I'm trying to do. I like to call out people. I like to fight and try to get people to want to fight me. But I'm never going to make it personal and take it at your family or anything like that. But I think it's definitely necessary in the game. You know what I mean? You want to tick someone off and make them want to fight you. And hopefully in the end, that's what happens. And everyone can see that it's a sport and we're just trying to get it done.
Yeah, well said. Now, you actually are going to have a chance at winning multiple belts here in the near future, but you did have a chance at winning Ammo's belt. You lost that fight to Nate Russell. What is it going to mean to you to get a belt wrapped around your waist for the first time, to know that you're a champion, regardless of what promotion it's in? How important is that to you?
I wouldn't say it's the most important thing. I just want to fight the best around and, you know what I mean, fight at every promotion I can. And when they offer me fights, it's against their best who wants a belt too. So that just drags me right into, you know what I mean, title contention no matter where I go. You know what I mean? So it's a big deal. I'd love to get it. My buddy Zach Richards got 2 of them and I couldn't be more proud of him. So I'm kind of looking to catch up a little bit. And, you know what I mean? Hopefully I can get a couple of my own strapped on here.
Yeah, well, you're going to have that chance here really soon. What's your relationship right now with the NEF? Because I haven't seen you fight for that promotion in a minute now. Are you cool with them? Is there a chance you're going to be fighting for them down the line?
Yeah, there's no problem with us. I have a little bit of an issue with their matchmaking, and there's a few guys I'd really like to get my hands on. But you know what I mean? I got fights lined up for great promotions in New England. You know what I mean? My goal isn't to stay in Maine, and I want to travel and fight with the best. And where I'm going with Cage Titans, I think, is my main promotion right now. And they're the biggest around. They send the most to the UFC. They have the most people watching. They're just a great promotion. And if NEF gives me the fight I want, you're most certainly right. I'll be back in Maine, but not until they give me that fight.
Okay. Now I know you got your mind, your focus completely on your upcoming opponent, Brandon, and then you have David lined up after that. But can we talk a little bit about who this fight is? Can you give me a hint as to who you're talking about?
Well, he's 3-0 and he's fighting an 0-3 nobody, and he's ranked, I think, number 2 in all of New England right now. And you know what I mean? Anybody who sees those facts and those stats know it's wrong. You know what I mean? I want to be the best. I want to fight the best. So, you know what I mean? I'm not going to take no easy fight. An 0-3 guy wouldn't fight me. I sure as heck wouldn't accept a fight with an 0-3 guy. But some of us just see it differently and are taught differently. So, you know what I mean? If he comes around after these next couple months, I'd love to run that one.
So I'm not going to mention his name, but are we talking about the same guy who in his debut fight as an amateur had a submission and then it wasn't caught and then he went on to win the fight? Is this who we're talking about?
Yeah, I don't have to hide it. It's Caleb Austin. You know, he's 3-0 right now, but I don't feel he's proved himself against anybody. I was looking to get on the February 8th card, and it didn't work out. He has an 0-3 opponent he'd rather take on. So that is what it is, but I think when I come back to Maine, I'm going to have a couple belts, and he's going to accept it, or everyone's going to know he doesn't want to fight.
All right, I like it. I'm glad you called him out, and maybe Matt Peterson and Nick DeSalvo can make that fight happen down the line. That would be a really interesting matchup. Let's talk about Brandon. You have him next. It's going to be late next month. How do you feel like you match up stylistically, and what kind of a fight do you think the fans are going to see come fight night?
I think he's going to come out throwing hard and looking to take me down. I mean, I've watched a lot of film, and I think we have a lot of the same fighting styles, but I got the height advantage, and my striking is becoming a lot cleaner and crisper, and I think I'll be able to keep the distance and push the fight where I want it.
Do you feel like you're going to be able to submit him or KO him, or do you think this might be one of those fights that, you know, is a more grueling, close matchup where it does go the distance?
No, I don't think this one's going to the distance. I'm going to win no matter where the fight takes us. I think my wrestling and my striking is both going to, you know what I mean, outdo his, and I don't think he's going to have much for me, but we'll keep training and find out.
Well, I love the confidence coming from you. And then after this fight, God willing, you do get the victory. You get that belt wrapped around your waist. You have another tough opponent down the line fighting David Durao. That fight was supposed to happen in the past, and it got scrapped because of, I believe, an injury of some sort. I'm not 100% certain as to who that was or who that happened to. But tell me a little bit about that potential matchup. Do you feel like that's one that favors you as well?
Actually, I think that would be my toughest fight yet. You know what I mean? Me and David are good friends. We talk a lot. You know what I mean? We've talked on the phone. We've spoken all the time. And I think we're both pumped for this fight. We've both been off for a bunch of months now. And to be honest, I think it's going to be one hell of a fight.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one.
I'm excited to fight him.
Okay, yeah, that well said. I mean, look, both of you guys are two of the best here in the region. I respect the hell out of the both of you. Very good skill sets. It will be a very close fight. I'm not quite sure where I'm leaning as to who I think could win, but the fans are going to win because no matter what, they're going to be in for a treat come fight night.
Oh, absolutely. That's going to be Cage Titans Fight of the Year. I can almost guarantee it.
Well, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time, as always, to join me. Best of luck in your upcoming title fight later next month, and we'll chat before the Durao fight, I'm sure. But before I do let you go, anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, floor is yours.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank every one of my sponsors. You know what I mean? You all are able to give and help me the best ways you can, and I appreciate that because I wouldn't be able to do it without any of you. All my coaches and my teammates that are going to help me get ready for this fight camp, and just anybody that's still in my corner, I appreciate you all, and I'm very thankful.